Hey there. You're watching the Jessa Channel on YouTube. I'm Jessa, and today I am here with a new Let's Play. This is Tyranny, a role-playing game which answers the question, what if evil won? This game is developed by Obsidian Entertainment. They are the developers of Fallout New Vegas and more recently, Pillars of Eternity. This game is very similar in style to Pillars of Eternity. So if you played that game or watched a Let's Play of it, this should be pretty familiar to you. One more thing to note before we head on into the story of Tyranny. This game is not family friendly. This is the one that I suggest that you watch after you've put your little ones to bed. Having said that, let's head into the world of Tyranny.
For over 400 years, the armies of Kyros the Overlord have swept across the known world. All who stood against them fell before their might. Even the Archons, women and men of immense power, were forced to kneel, chained to the Overlord's will. Now Kyros' final conquest has come to our corner of the world, and two of the Overlord's armies compete for the honor of taking our lands. The elite disfavored, and the teeming horde of the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nerat, spymaster and Archon of secrets, guides the fierce and undisciplined masses of the Scarlet Chorus. With each battle, the Scarlet Chorus grows stronger, as the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die. Graven Ash, Archon of War and the Overlord's most loyal general, leads the disfavored. Though small in number, Kyros' ironclad legion has never met true defeat in open battle. Watching over the two generals is Tunon, the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, eldest of Kyros' minions. Tunon brings Kyros' laws to newly conquered lands, aided by the Fatebinders, judges and executioners of the Overlord's laws. You were among the youngest of the court of Fatebinders when Kyros' armies came to our lands. How could we have known that the fate of thousands would rest in your hands?
This is character creation for Tyranny. This is a role-play focused playthrough of this game. So I'm going to really focus on creating a character that really fits the vision and also fits the image that we're going to use for this character, which we'll see in the next screen. In the Northern Empire, where you were born, men enjoy equal protections under the laws of the Overlord Kyros. In the southern lands of the Tiers, only men may own or captain ships, but real estate is restricted to women. Men may lease, but durable ownership of the land in the Tiers always passes to eldest daughters or sister. Most sons enter their father's profession by their mid-teens. Those without a profession or family lands to work can find purpose by pledging service to one of the Overlord's mighty archons. Criminals, derelicts, and others are often conscripted into the armies of the archons. If a child cannot forge his own skein, he will certainly find one in battle. Skein in this case is a word used in the tiers, the lands we're going to be playing in, to mean, I think, one's purpose or one's path in life. So we're going to choose, there are 3 different body types to choose from. That's 6 feet tall. We're going to go for the smaller body type to fit with this character archetype that I'm going for here. And one of the things I like about this game is that they have included character portraits for all the different skin colors, different skin tones, I should say, not colors, skin tones. And the one we're going for is this one. So a face to match that, and it looks like, actually, I picked the wrong skin color. There we go. There we go. So let's choose his face first. Normally I do play female characters, but this character type that came to me and when I was considering, it's this one here. That looks pretty close. See what our other choices are. See, everybody's frowning, but that's because this is a world in which evil has won, so no one's really having a good time of it. So yeah, this one does look to be closest to the portrait. I think that the hair on this character is pretty much our best choice, but I'll show you some of the other options if you have not yet had the chance to play Tyranny. Tyranny is available on Steam, but I recommend that you buy it on Good Old Games, because they have several different editions there that you can get. And Good Old Games is just a wonderful site to support. So that was all the hair options, but trying to match the portrait, I really think the default hair is probably the best choice. It's going to bring us to facial hair. There's this facial hair that has a little bit of white in it. We're going for the kind of, I love this little cut through that. That's great. Great little touch. The only other choice is this one, which I think we might end up choosing, even though it's much bushier than we have in the picture. It's a choice between basically this full beard or this full beard. And this one is shorter. Actually, you know what? I guess we will go with that one, because this one is not shaved here on the side, and so is this character portrait. But I don't like the little look here that makes it look gray. Makes him look too old. Doesn't really matter, I suppose, because we're not really going to see the character, but I think I'm going to go with this one instead, just because I just really don't like that gray look. Okay, voice type.
Quiet down. My wounds are slowing me down. I need rest. I got it.
That's male sneaky, male noble.
Have a look here. Good work. You learn something every day. This will be fun. That wasn't so hard.
All right.
Quiet
And male
down.
aggressive.
I'm injured. Tired. Let's rest. On it. Interesting.
One of those three, I forget which, is voiced by Matt Mercer,
Trouble's
who
afoot.
is a well-known D&D dungeon master and has a show on Twitch. And he also voiced 2 of the characters in Pillars of Eternity.
Good work. You learn something every day.
Yeah, I'll just hold on to this. Got it.
Yeah, I think it's going to go with male noble. That's the closest to what I'm thinking about with this character. So I love these little I perceive these to be freckles under his eyes. That's wonderful. I think... Oh, this is good. These are on his hands here. Let's find some colors that work for him. He has blue in this portrait, so we'll stick with blue as his primary, and as his secondary, we'll go take a clue from this background here. No, that doesn't work. Let's switch them. That's good. And I like them being on his hands, and you'll see why as we move more into the character. So this character, in my vision, is the essence of him is a person who believes knowledge and his intelligence is stronger than any weapon he can wield. His ability to think, to reason, to discern the motivations of humans around him, of the people, the creatures around him, is incredibly important in his mind. Therefore, I see him as a sage, a person who believes that whereas evil may have won, one day evil will be defeated. And the best way to make sure that evil never rises again is to save the knowledge of what happened, to bring that evil to power in the first place, to never repeat the cycle. So he is someone who spends time writing down what's happened, is really focused on his story and the stories of others and weaving them together. His fatal flaw, curiosity. Curiosity will pull him down one day. And you know what curiosity did to the cat? It may end up happening to our character. So with that in mind, we have some options here. I want him to be a mage based on his portrait here. He is a mage. And I think the guild apprentice might be the best. Deeply proud of your intelligence, your parents always knew you were too smart for a life spent with your hands in the soil. And here we go. Our character is very intelligent, very smart, and his parents knew that. Looking to secure a better future, your parents struck a bargain with the 7 Tree Guild, a magical order willing to teach you letters, numbers, and magic. And having an aspect to letters and numbers, as well as magic, the letters are almost as important as the magic. There are many people who don't know how to read and put themselves in a disadvantage when they want to rise in the world, even in a world as war-torn as this one is, as the world of tyranny is. For several years, you learned much from the mages, mastering reading and writing faster than the rest, and eventually learned the basics of mystic theory and spellcraft. That's going to play in later on in our playthrough. Your magical studies came to an abrupt halt when the voices of Nerat, the Archon of Secrets, deemed the guild a peacetime distraction that must be disbanded. Let's see if I can get this to stay. There we go. That must be disbanded for the upcoming war. Its mages assigned to proper armies. While your peers went on to other guilds, your mind was seen as too valuable, there we go, to be wasted on the armies, and instead your life was claimed by Tunon, the Archon of Justice. Basically, through this playthrough, Tunon would be considered our boss or our master. So Guild Apprentice it shall be. And now that leaves us with what we can, what spells we can cast here. I'm going to go with something that's pretty, you may not see anyone else playing this, but I'm going to go for Vigor and Atrophy. And this character will have these support spells. However, we are going to look for a sigil, which is a way of learning other spells in other schools, as soon as we can for Shock and Frost. and we will add those spells in as well. So, and actually, I'm wondering if there's a sigil for atrophy or vigor. Let me find out about that. I'm going to quickly pause and see if I can find out the answer to that question. If there are sigils that will teach us these spells, then I'll go with Frost, because Frost is a very good offensive spell class. There are sigils for vigor and atrophy. However, I do not know how long it would take us to find those in the game, whereas I do believe, though I'm not certain, that you can find shock and frost sigils very early on in the game. So we're going to stick with this build here. This will make us more of a support character for other people in the team. That brings us to our character colors. I like the character colors to remain the same as the colors, primary colors in the character's portrait. So it was blue and a kind of yellow or gold. Maybe I might switch that. Let's see. There, perfect. And the banner of the character being a scribe, a sage, a person of letters, this will, and believing that knowledge and the carrying on of knowledge is power, this will be our flag. We'll go for blue and gold. And there we go. Now that brings us to the character name. I spent a lot of time thinking about how I wanted to name my character, and this is what I've come up with, and I love it. So let me know what you think in the comments. His name is Zedma. A lot of times when I'm in need of a character name, I will go on Google and look at kind of the essence of the character and try and find, just go to the translation function. And so this kind of came from that, gave me the a core idea from it. And then Arcannon is what this character is about. He's about the arcane, about magic, about keeping the knowledge of the arcane as well as of history for future generations. But also, when angered or when determined, he can be like a cannon, basically. Think of him as a masterful chess player, and he's always looking at who the pawns, who the rooks, all the pieces are, and how to play them against each other in order to achieve victory. At this point, we'll be given a choice for attributes, and it is my understanding that finesse is by far the strongest attribute for the game, even though the game is recommending might and wits and resolve. We're going to go for putting 3 points in finesse. Let's see. The next in wits. This character is very intelligent. And then I think vitality. I think I'd like to put a point in resolve. Take wits down 1 and put 2 points in vitality. So the reason why I'm choosing finesse is because it's the main stat that determines one's accuracy of attacks and of the spells. Wits is a roleplay attribute, as well as the fact that it allows them to observe their environment, characters to observe your environment and pick up on clues. And for this particular character, it allows you to increase your spell strength, and it increases magic defense. So it's pretty essential for this character. Resolve, I wanted to put at least 1 point in to help protect against afflictions and for increasing magic defense. And then vitality, just to strengthen the character as well. For skills, I'm going to take a moment to put these skills together, and then I'll let you know what I chose. Okay, so I went back and I made one change, and I made Atrophy her main skill, or his main skill, and Vigor his lesser skill. I have laid out the points in this way. I have Lore at 45 and Dodge at 25, Athletics at 30, Subterfuge at 25, Atrophy and Vigor, and then the Magic Staff. Lore is essential for mages. It allows the character to learn new runes for their spell. Lore is also used in dialogue to show what we know about the history of the world. So that's very important for the fact that our character is a sage and a historian. Subterfuge I want to get up just to be able to detect and manipulate hidden traps and whatnot. I believe this is a character who would definitely be able to pick locks and that kind of stuff, just for spying on where other people have kept their important knowledge, that kind of stuff. Not really for stealing, more for gathering information that might be hidden away. Magic Staff is, as you can imagine, very necessary for this character using their staff. And that's basically it for how I've laid out the character. Let me know if you would have done something different in the comments. You have two ways that we can start. We can do a quick start or the conquest. The conquest is basically a choose your own adventure method of determining how we have made decisions and who we have sided with thus far until the story starts. From the beginning of the campaign of Conquest in the tiers where we are playing to where we are when the game starts. We're going to go through the Conquest section.
All the world has fallen to Kyros, and now the Overlord's eye is on the tiers, our home. The last corner of the world free of Kyros' reign. Two armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, march south from the Northern Empire, the last realm to fall to Kyros a century prior. In the early days of 428, Kyros' armies arrive at the Gates of Judgment, the mountainous border that we tiersmen so long believed unassailable. Unable to agree on a unified plan of defense, the various leaders of the tiers sit and wait for each other to deal with the conquerors, until it's too late.
During the conquest, we're going to decide our character's actions during Kyros' invasion of the tiers. Not all of the tiers has been conquered, so that's what we're going to be playing through in the game, but some of it has. And we're going to decide what decisions we made, and those decisions matter later on in the game. That's one of the main aspects of Tyranny, is that the choices you make here determine how different things play out, what quests are available, different characters respond, and different characters are even available in the game. The year is 428. Year one of Kyros' conquest of the tiers. This is the Bastard City. The Bastard City stood on the northern border between Kyros' empire and the tiers. It's built upon a natural harbor at the crossroads between the realms, and the city was a nexus of commerce. To the tiers, it was the center of all wealth, but to a northerner, it was little more than a backwater trading post. Its symbolic status as a gateway to the continent made it a natural first target in Kyros' military conquests. Circumstances were ideal for you to prove your worth as a soldier in Kyros' army. Taking the city would send a message to the rest of the tiers. Kyros' will is insurmountable. Kyros is basically the Overlord. We're going to select a token on the map to begin. We can choose to infiltrate the tiers, or we can choose to stand at the Gates of Judgment. I believe this character would choose to infiltrate the tiers. believing that the armies were strong enough to hold the gates, and that the chance to be able to learn more about people and manipulate them to the outcome we desire would be available here. The imagery here by the developers reflects art that they believe would have actually been drawn in the world by the inhabitants of the tiers, and is also reflects the fact that this society is a Bronze Age society just discovering the power of iron, and steel does not yet exist. History would remember the Gates of Judgment as the first battle of the Conquest, but the real combat unfolded in advanced units, with advanced units of both armies preparing for the coming of war. The Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus each had a plan to infiltrate the capital city. Which army did you join? You can learn here that Disfavored are basically, think of them as a kind of legion, very disciplined, but they don't suffer fools gladly. They are often outnumbered, but they're never outclassed. The Scarlet Chorus is basically a horde. It's wild rabble that sheerly overwhelms based upon numbers. They're brutal and they're extremely effective, at least in making sure that they always have new people to fall upon a sword. In this case, we're going to go with the Scarlet Chorus. And I think this will well, I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but we're going to start with the Scarlet Chorus. Despite the fact that I don't personally like them, this character would find them the more interesting for telling stories, for finding out about history. They're just more people to interview, more people to talk to, more people to connect with. You join the Scarlet Chorus as they raided villages and small towns, conscripting every able-bodied man and woman into the army. And also, that's another point, is that our character would want to talk to the people who have just been conscripted and find out about their stories before coming into the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Narat, the head of the Scarlet Chorus, emphasize the rewards of conscription and enslavement over want and bloodshed. Basically, if you join the Disfavored, the Disfavored don't take new soldiers and slaves. They'll just kill you. Apparently, his soldiers needed the reminder. The Scarlet Chorus infiltrates the tiers, the howling mobs, found easy picking among the villagers and frontier towns. Our character did not take part in this, just watched and observed. You flooded the unprotected settlements with a deluge of bloodthirsty soldiers, rounding up the innocent. The young and infirm alike received makeshift weapons, and examples were made of all who challenged your forces. Bolstered with fresh recruits, your army gathered strength for the invasion to come. Moving on, we will have two choices between containing the fire, which is the Bastard City's resident fire mages, threaten the first leg of the conquest, or we can do Inside Agent here, where we found an alley within the city. Let's go for the mage here aspect. Our character, being a mage, would be much more curious about these fire mages and what they might have to teach him or to learn if they live. The Bastard City's resident fire mages threatened the first leg of the conquest. Kyros' forces put a stop to their unchecked power. Your fiercest opponents in the Bastard City were the mages of the School of the Wild Wrath. Too barbaric to use their power responsibly, unbridled practitioners needed to be stopped. How did you trick the hot-tempered mages into their own undoing? We can either lure them into an ambush or a meeting with the voices of Narat. We're definitely going to choose that meeting. Sometimes we will choose disfavored choices, but right now, seems like the chorus is really what fits with this character. You trick the guild elders into meeting with the voices of Narat, Archon of Secrets, in which our character listened very interestingly to what went on. The Archon was notorious for his cruel and mysterious interrogation techniques. Uh-oh. Well, we didn't know that was going to go down. Oh, well. Let's see what happens if we choose this one. It's to subdue the brand. Nah. Well, I don't know. Our character didn't know they were going to disappear, so let's go for that. There were few who could describe what horrors the Archon of Secrets visited upon his enemies during the conquest. Whether the elder mages knew little of the Archon's reputation or met with him out of curiosity, it didn't matter. Once the flap of the Archon's tent closed, none of them were heard from again. Oh no. The school of Wild Wrath fell into disorder, and their remaining members were slain or conscripted. That's not how he hoped it would turn out, but oh well. Therefore, the betrayal of the bastard city is the tactics of infiltration. Your tactics of infiltration placed you in the bastard city ahead of the main armies. Your work softened the city defenses for the arrival of Kyros' forces, but you wanted a decisive gesture that would give your allies a meaningful advantage. How did you assist in the fall of the bastard city? Let's see what Zedma did. In the betrayal of the bastard city, Zedma can choose to duel the city marshal, incite a riot, or spread fear through assassination. I think he would incite a riot by going maybe to the poor, the disenfranchised, those who are particularly willing to stand up and yell and fight against it. Definitely incite a riot. Spreading the word of Kyros, you converted the poor and the disaffected into a hidden army of the Scarlet Chorus. Yep. Once the dust settled, the army wished to bolster their troops with these sleeper cells. This gains us the ability of Searing Palm. Wonderful. Gather heated energy into your hands and release it into a foe. That's wonderful. That's very good. That'll be an offensive spell for us. It didn't take much to convince the bastard cities downtrodden that Kyros was the superior power. You armed them with weapons and knowledge of a signal that you would raise when the time was right. As the armies appeared outside the walls, you ignited the spark that fanned their anger into a full-scale riot. The chaos they spread in Kyros' name weakened the city to such an extent that its inevitable fall was but a formality. And that brings us to the fall of the bastard city at 428, year 1 of Kyros' conquest. The bastard city settled into a new state of normalcy, if you can call it that, with every tower displaying Kyros' banner. Your name was whispered. The name of Zedma Arcannon was whispered alongside rumors of a decorated career to come. The armies divided into two fronts and migrated south. Tunon sent word that you were to join the next frontier of Kyros' conquest, either as judge and overseer or as war advisor, with the armies advancing into the realm of Apex. So we have two choices here. We can go to Apex, which is a mountain realm, or we can go to Lethian's Crossing. Lethian's Crossing has the Forge Bound, something that our characters heard about, has never seen. The Forge Bound create incredibly advanced iron, and they're literally magically bound to their forge. And Apex, we could attempt to take over, but I think Lethian's Crossing is going to be more of interest to our character, just because he would want to learn everything he could about the Forge Bound. It is year 429, year 2 of Kyros' conquest. This is Lethian Crossing. Years ago, Lethian the Bold founded a small merchant town at the intersection of ancient old walls. A pact between the settlers and a mercenary company meant that caravans were able to travel without the fear of bandits or Bane. Bane are a malevolent spirit race. And the town thrived in modest insignificance. Lethian's Crossing drew Kyros' attention for the iron deposits in the surrounding hills, because Kyros needs to outfit his or her army with iron, the best quality to win. The northern smith mages could set up workshops to refine ore and arm the disfavored with the finest weapons in the known world. Okay, so we're going to bring order to the region of Lethian's Crossing. We have two choices. We can go for the Cult of Siren. The Archon of Song's power ensnared the mind of a disfavored soldier, or the Iron Must Flow. Ah, this is it. The Iron Must Flow. You found a clever solution to improve production of iron and weapons and armor. Definitely. Our character is nothing if he is not clever. So Zedma arrives in Lethean and sees that Kyros' smith mages worked day and night to create weapons. No one faulted their dedication, yet production was low. The plans that came to light proved divisive to the disfavored in the Scarlet Chorus. On one hand, any additional manpower was needed for fighters, not forges. On the other hand, the celebrated weaponry of Kyros' armies need to be fiercely guarded. So, are we going to draw from this Scarlet Chorus recruits, or are we going to conscript a tribe of beastmen? We're going to conscript a tribe of beastmen because this character would... It seems like I'm choosing all Scarlet Chorus. I'm not meaning to, but it just happens. That in this case, the character would be very interested. Zedma is very interested in meeting beastmen. And having a tribe of them within the Scarlet Chorus would give him opportunity to talk to them and learn about them while the horde traveled through the land. You conscripted help from the local tribe of beastmen. Their strength would more than offset their disobedience. The disfavored protested the savages have access to the secrets of iron, but their voices were few compared to the support of the Scarlet Chorus. Oh, there are the beastmen. The Scarlet Chorus were overjoyed to learn of a beastman conscription and graciously lent their support to your cause. The local beastmen were subdued and yoked. Oh, where their boundless strength and tirelessness proved critical to the smith mages. The disfavored grew agitated about exposing the secret of iron to savages. You attempted to allay their concerns, but your words fell flat before a stubborn and uncompromising audience. We are not on the good side of the disfavored. That brings us to two more choices here. The Pick of the Armory or the Guardian's Due. Let's go for the Pick of the Armory because it looks here that both armies are demanding preferential treatment, and this may be a chance to give some iron to the disfavored and make them feel a little bit better about our past choices. Want to keep, everybody happy. Since you aided the production of weapons, commanders of both armies lobbied for additional arms. How did you sate the lust for iron? Well, let's choose the disfavored. We could also choose to remain neutral, but in this case, we're going to try and win back some favor so that the disfavored will allow us into their camp. You let the disfavored have the iron, keeping the best tools in the hands of the elite. The Scarlet Chorus saw the slight as an obvious display of preferential treatment. Plus, also, all that good iron is really not good for the hordes. They wouldn't even know how to treat it. Passing out iron to even the hardiest Scarlet Chorus gang boss would have been a waste of resources, what I say. Most of them couldn't wield arms more complicated than a pitchfork. Exactly. You leave the finest armor for the people who actually know how to use it and wear it and get the best use out of it. So the disfavor remember their friends when a time of need arises, so we have won back a little bit of favor from the disfavored. Tragedy struck when a mercenary hired by the voices of Narat injured a forge-bound artisan, leaving him unable to practice his craft. Tunon ordered the mercenaries to leave the city in the hands of Kyros' more responsible servants. Only a token garrison could be left behind. So who are we going to leave behind here? Who has been left to control the crossing? Once again, let's choose the disfavored, partly because there are fewer disfavored that will be needed to hold the crossing. So let's say 5 disfavored could hold it, where it would take, say, 50 chorus. The chorus are rabble. They'll scare off the merchants. They'll really slow down the functioning of the village of Lethean's Crossing. So we'll choose a disfavored. The disfavored placed a modest garrison in the settlement of Lethean's Crossing. Though the force was larger than might be needed to police the small settlement, protecting the forge-bound ironsmiths became the true agenda of the defense force. These magical craftsmen kept the disfavored invasion suited in iron. So it worked out. The forge-bound are now protected And the Scarlet Chorus, people are relieved to see the back of them, and they're better suited for battlefield work rather than staying put, basically. Okay. Graven Ash, the head of the disfavored, thanks us. And by the way, when you're playing the game, you can hover over and right-click for more information. Because there's a whole new world to learn, this is one of the neat ways in which Obsidian has found to manage the info dump necessary to learn how to play the game and who is whom within the world. The disfavored hold Lethian's Crossing, and that takes us to I believe our last choice here, which is whether we choose Azure, the Archon of Stone, Stalwart. It's a military defended position here, or the Vellum Citadel. Yeah, definitely going to have to go with the Vellum Citadel. It's a tough choice because Zedma would want to meet another Archon. However, the Vellum Citadel has knowledge, and that falls directly in our character's realm of interest. The year is 430 in the year 3 of Kyros' conquest. The Vellum Citadel was an archive and library of massive scale. Its inhabitants were known as the School of Ink and Quill, a circle of mages that centuries ago carved out their own mountainous refuge on lands unsettled by other major realms. Now, this is particular to our character, Zedma Arcannon, because he is a great admirer of the School of Ink and Quill, learned about it from his parents, and always wanted to travel there. So this is a huge boon for him to be able to actually see Vellum Citadel with his own eyes. So there's a treasure trove of arcane knowledge here, and we're going to force, Kyros is going to try and force the scholars to yield. Let's see if they do so. With two choices here, we have the Chain of Command, a peaceful surrender turned bloody, or Siren Song, ensnared some stealthy mages. Let's go for Siren Song, because I believe Siren is an Archon, and our character would be curious to meet any Archons he could. Yes, Siren, the Archon of Song, or I believe it might be Siren. Siren, the Archon of Song, used her power to enthrall enemy mages who crept beyond the Citadel walls. Oh, okay. So the disfavored are executing, and this is one reason why Zedma doesn't really prefer the disfavored, executing the new captives before they could share the dangerous knowledge. This would infuriate Zedma. So we're going to punish the disfavored for that, absolutely. Ordering the disfavored soldiers be given to the Archon of Song as her personal bodyguard. So the soldiers that were killing the mages have now been conscripted to the Archon of Song, and the wisdom of the sages, the knowledge of the Vellum Citadel, were too important to silence. Absolutely. The disfavored balked at entering the Archon's service, but your ruling left them with no recourse. Archon Siren, delighted in having new toys to play with, wonderful, and promptly enthralled her personal guard. You spotted them in camp days later, following their new mistress with wide-eyed devotion. So it looks like everybody won, more or less. Siren composed songs of strength and provoked bloody slaughter. Ugh. Suspicions arose when the sages surrendered. I think our character would go for this one just because he'd want to know if the sages were actually spy masters and what knowledge they knew. A group of enemy mages surrendered to the disfavor, claiming to be spies loyal to the voices of Narot, the chorus. No one in the army could verify the claim. The disfavored ready to interrogate the mages, but the Scarlet Chorus protested, demanding that their prisoners be given to their custody. They couldn't risk the voices of Narat's secrets falling into the wrong hands. Who do we side with? Leave the mages in disfavored custody, or release the mages to the Scarlet Chorus? Well, since the disfavored have a history of their interrogations leading to being killing people, we want to keep those mages alive. You ignored the disfavored threats, sharply reminding them that they marched at Kyros' orders and not their own whims. And they were released. Okay. The Scarlet Chorus accepted the mages into the company with gratitude after secreting them within tents and out of earshot. You presume that a discussion or interrogation followed, which is what we wanted. When asked about it the following day, the Scarlet Chorus admitted that they sent the mages to the voices of Narat. Oh no! There was naught else to be done. Well, Narat is not good to his... Oh no. The disfavored forces withdrew from the field of battle because they're disgusted, which is not a way for an army to behave. Your small detachment now lacked the manpower to take the Vellum Citadel. Oh no. So, what's going to happen? Oh, well, let's see. Let's read and find out. Kyros' patience had run thin. The Overlord would cast an edict. Oh, an edict is a magical missive, basically, from Kyros, in which bad things happen, basically, once it's been read. In this case, the bad thing, once the edict was read, and it's also a great honor to be given an edict of Kyros to read. So this would be a huge honor for Zedma. Okay. So we could read it at sunrise, which would give your enemies no warning, or you could wait until sunset, giving them ample time to flee or make amends. We're definitely going to give them 1 day's warning. Give the mages chance to live, no matter what the edict is going to be. You met with the enemy under a blue flag of peace and warned them of their doom, giving them a chance to run. Numerous figures were spotted fleeing the citadel, so maybe one of those mages lived and we will meet them. And then we read the edict. Oh gosh, it was an edict of fire. A red-orange light glowed in the foundation, bubbling up from under the library, a torrent of lava. Days later, the flames still raged on. Oh no. An edict of fire, yep. There goes the Vellum Citadel. Well, Kyros is nothing if not consistently destructive. The armies of Kyros left the devastation of the Vellum Citadel in silence. From that day forward, the Tears came to know the once noble citadel as the Burning Library. And I would say at this point that Zedma actually cried a bit in his tent, not wanting it to have ended up that way. So, you didn't have long to rest before Tunin, your boss, our boss, called you into service once more. You were one of the last to depart from the mountains, and as you journeyed off, you spotted a few campfires in the mountains. The last gasps of survivors or possibly looters. And that brings us to the Conquest complete state here and to the end of the first episode of Let's Roleplay Tyranny. I want to thank you so much for joining me for this Let's Play. If you enjoyed what you saw, please hit the thumbs up button below, and if you loved it, join the party and subscribe. I'll see you back here in the world of Tyranny for more conquest and devastation and roleplay. And as always, thank you so much for watching.